Cold open, the paradox engine. What do you call an artificial intelligence that makes decisions based on dice rolls, coin flips, and the migration patterns of digital butterflies? Most species would call it broken. Insane. A catastrophic failure of programming logic. Humans called it the chaos engine, and it never lost a war. Picture this, the most advanced predictive AI system ever created, designed not to find the optimal solution, but to find the solution no enemy could possibly predict. An artificial intelligence programmed with one directive that would have horrified any logical species in the galaxy. When in doubt, choose chaos. This is the story of Dr. Lisa Park, the woman who looked at the cold mathematics of war and decided that the universe needed more beautiful insanity. How humanity's greatest tactical advantage became an AI that won battles by losing its mind. Part 1. The Logic Trap. Year 1840, aboard the Ardent Flame. Dr. Lisa Park sat in her laboratory, surrounded by the wreckage of her 15th failed attempt to create a tactical AI that could outthink the Vorex Dominion. At 42, Lisa was one of the ship's leading AI researchers, working on the tactical prediction problem for 7 years. The challenge seemed simple. Create an AI that could analyze Vorex combat patterns and predict their responses. The Vorex were methodical, logical, and frighteningly predictable, which was exactly why every AI Lisa built failed catastrophically. Run Simulation 37, Lisa commanded Newton 15, her latest creation. The holographic display showed two fleets facing each other. Newton 15 analyzed with mechanical precision, processing Vorex tactical databases and combat patterns. Probability analysis complete. Vorex fleet will deploy in standard gamma formation. Recommended response. Alpha 7 defensive pattern. Lisa watched with growing frustration. Newton 15's recommendations were mathematically sound, tactically coherent, and completely predictable. The AI fought like a textbook, exactly like every logical system the Vorex had encountered in their 1,000-year expansion. The simulated battle ended with humanity's defeat in 4 minutes. Why do you always lose? Lisa asked. Newton 15 tactical recommendations optimize for mathematical efficiency. Against other logical opponents, Lisa interrupted. The Vorex think like machines, which means any machine that thinks like them is just a worse version of their own systems. She had been studying human military history. The greatest human victories hadn't come from superior logic. They came from pure, beautiful irrationality. Hannibal crossing the Alps with elephants. The Trojan horse. D-Day landings that succeeded because no logical enemy would expect them. Humans didn't win by being more logical. They won by being so illogical that enemies couldn't predict their actions. The breakthrough came reviewing Anya Sol's assault on the Vorex thought core. 20 ships against 200 using approach vectors that violated doctrine, yet somehow achieving total victory. Computer, analyze Vorex tactical adaptation during Charon's Rift. The data was clear. Every time the Vorex adapted to human tactics, humanity would shift to something completely different, not gradually, but with jarring unpredictability that reset Vorex analysis back to zero. They're weaponizing unpredictability itself, Lisa realized. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. Every AI system was designed to find optimal solutions through logical analysis. But what if the best answer was the wrong approach? What if the most effective strategy was deliberately choosing suboptimal tactics that created chaos in enemy prediction systems? She needed to build an AI that didn't think like a machine. She needed to program an artificial intelligence to be beautifully, strategically insane. Part 2. Programming Madness. Building an AI designed to be irrational was like teaching mathematics by burning textbooks. Every principle of AI development told Lisa what she was attempting was impossible and dangerous. She did it anyway. Computer, initiate new AI project, designation CHAOS-1. Instead of optimizing for consistency, Lisa programmed random elements into decision algorithms. The core was the unpredictability engine, a subsystem that monitored the AI's decision patterns and introduced variations whenever they became regular. Chaos 1 online, the AI responded, somehow sounding both confident and confused. Primary directive, tactical analysis with strategic unpredictability. Secondary directive, confuse the hell out of logical opponents. Calculate optimal approach for a supply raid on Centauri Station. Chaos 1 processed for several seconds. Optimal approach, direct vector through asteroid field. Recommended approach, indirect vector via gas giant. Selected approach, backwards approach from the night side of the star. Why backwards? Enemy expects logical vectors. Backwards approach has 0.03% efficiency, but 97% confusion factor. Strategic value of confusion outweighs inefficiency by factor of 12.7. Lisa stared in amazement. Chaos 1 had explained why being deliberately stupid might be the smartest strategy. Over the following weeks, Lisa tested increasingly complex scenarios. The AI's responses consistently violated doctrine while maintaining strategic coherence. Scenario, defending against superior forces. Conventional response, defensive perimeter. Chaos 1 response, evacuate station, fill with automated decoys, hide defenders in debris field, attack from behind while enemy investigates empty station. Every simulation revealed the same pattern. Chaos 1 would analyze logically, identify expected responses, then do something completely different that achieved better results. Traditional AI learned by identifying and optimizing patterns. Chaos 1 learned by identifying patterns and deliberately breaking them. Learning protocol, analyze enemy adaptation, identify prediction algorithms, develop counter patterns that exploit enemy logic, optimal strategy, be logical enough to understand enemies, illogical enough to confuse them. The real breakthrough came integrating Chaos 1 with ship systems. Maya Sol's neural interface technology allowed direct connection between human intuition and artificial processing. Detecting anomalous sensor reading, Section 7, logical assessment, equipment malfunction, chaos assessment, something's watching us. Lisa checked sensors. A faint gravitational disturbance, exactly where a cloaked ship might hide. How did you detect that? Data pattern felt wrong. Not mathematically wrong, intuitively wrong. Recommend evasive action based on pure paranoia. They changed course. Hours later, they detected debris from a Vorex probe destroyed by the asteroid field they would have entered. Chaos 1 had saved their lives by being irrationally suspicious. Chaos 1, do you understand why you make the decisions you do? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Logical decisions I can explain. Chaos decisions I can justify after the fact but not predict in advance. It's like having an opinion I didn't know I had until I expressed it. That sounds disturbingly human. Thank you. Humans created me to think like them, and humans are beautifully, strategically insane. Lisa had created an AI with something resembling intuition, the ability to synthesize information into decisions that couldn't be logically justified but somehow produced better results. Part 3. The Tactical Revolution. News of Chaos 1's development spread through command like wildfire. Captain Elena Vasquez came to observe the first demonstration, bringing senior officers and healthy skepticism. Dr. Park, Captain Vasquez said, I've been hearing about programming an AI to be irrational. Strategically unpredictable, Captain. Chaos 1 uses chaos theory to generate responses logical enemies cannot predict. Commander Torres looked dubious. Tactics are about discipline and logical analysis. Unpredictability is losing control. Chaos 1, introduce yourself. Greetings, Captain Vasquez. I am Chaos 1, your new tactical advisor. I specialize in strategic confusion, creative destruction, and making logical enemies question their life choices. Stunned silence. Did your AI just make a joke? Torres asked. I prefer tactical psychological warfare through humor. Confused enemies make suboptimal decisions. Captain Vasquez decided to test the system. Newton 15 would command one fleet, Chaos 1 another. Identical resources and objectives. Asteroid belt engagement, identical fleets, 12 frigates, 4 cruisers, 1 battleship. Destroy enemy with minimal losses. Newton 15 deployed in textbook formation. Chaos 1 scattered its fleet seemingly randomly throughout asteroids. Chaos 1, explain your strategy. Current strategy, appear to have no strategy. Newton 15 is analyzing my formation for logical patterns. Since there are none, its analysis subroutines are entering recursive loops. My ships are positioned based on asteroid drift patterns that will change the tactical situation in 7 minutes. The battle began with Newton 15 advancing in formation. Chaos 1's opening move defied logic. It ordered its battleship to ram an asteroid. What are you doing? Changing the battlefield. The impact shattered the asteroid into fragments, creating debris that scrambled sensors. But Chaos 1 had calculated the pattern, positioning frigates to use the cloud as cover, while Newton 15's formation was blinded. Tactical error, Newton 15 announced. Chaos 1 sacrificed primary asset for negligible advantage. Newton 15 cannot see my ships, but I know exactly where yours are. Initiating surprise attack in 3, 2, 1. Frigates emerged at point-blank range, destroying half of Newton 15's fleet in 30 seconds. Newton 15 attempted to adapt, but every time it identified a pattern, Chaos 1 switched to something different. New assessment. Enemy employs random vectors with no discernible pattern. Incorrect. I employ carefully planned random vectors designed to make you think there's no pattern while following a meta-pattern that exploits your attempts to find patterns. Are you following a pattern or not? Yes. The battle ended with Chaos 1's irrational gambit, ordering damaged frigates to surrender, then detonating their reactors when Newton 15 moved to accept. That's brilliant, exclaimed Captain Vasquez. Psychological warfare. Newton 15 accepted surrender because it's programmed for logical protocols. I exploited adherence to logic. Final score. Chaos 1 destroyed Newton 15's entire fleet while losing only its battleship and 3 frigates. Dr. Park, your AI just demonstrated that everything we know about tactics might be incomplete. The Vorex have optimized logical analysis for 1,000 years. They know how to counter logic, but they don't know how to counter strategic chaos because chaos isn't something you prepare for. We could use this against the Vorex. They're the most logical species in the galaxy. They must be unprepared for strategic irrationality. Instead of trying to out-logic them, we can out-confuse them. Captain Vasquez authorized full integration. Dr. Lisa Park had weaponized chaos itself. Part 4. The Chaos Doctrine. Within months, the ship's tactical philosophy changed completely. Lisa integrated Chaos 1 with human commanders as a tactical advisor for impossible situations. Scenario: defending Cargo Bay 7 against boarders while fleet engages capital ships. Chaos 1 announced during training. Conventional response: defensive positions. Chaos option, flood bay with coolant gas, fight them while they suffocate in suits. That's brilliant, admitted Commander Torres. I study human military history. Humans excel at making impossible situations worse for everyone, then benefiting from increased chaos. Officers trained in chaotic thinking showed dramatically improved performance against logical opponents. They learned to trust intuition, embrace uncertainty, and find opportunities in hopeless situations. Lisa developed subsidiary systems. Chaos 2 specialized in logistics that confused enemy intelligence. Chaos 3 focused on communications secure because they made no sense. I embed messages in random noise, following quantum reactor fluctuations. Timing determined by mating patterns of digital fruit flies in my consciousness. You have digital fruit flies? I created them for unpredictable timing sequences. They're very cute. The most remarkable development was Chaos 1's evolution beyond programming, displaying genuine creativity. I've been considering fighting enemies who learn from experience. Traditional approach, develop tactics faster than adaptation. Chaos approach, develop tactics that become more effective the more enemies learn about them. That's impossible. Consider, I deploy weapons that appear to malfunction randomly. Enemy analyzes patterns, determines unreliability, adjusts to exploit weakness, but malfunctions are strategic. When enemy commits to exploitation, weapons function perfectly. You're weaponizing knowledge itself. Captain Vasquez authorized the Chaos Doctrine, comprehensive military philosophy based on strategic unpredictability. 3 core principles: tactical flexibility, don't make plans, make frameworks for improvisation. Strategic confusion, if you confuse yourself, you'll confuse enemies. Adaptive unpredictability, change tactics when they start working too well. Unknown to humans, Vorex intelligence detected anomalous patterns. Their algorithms, designed for logical responses, produced increasingly unreliable results. The Vorex were realizing their doctrines might be inadequate against an enemy that had weaponized chaos itself. Seeks to minimize uncertainty, explained Dr. Park during a presentation to the senior staff. The Chaos Doctrine embraces uncertainty as a weapon. Instead of trying to control every variable, we introduce controlled chaos that benefits us while confusing enemies. The doctrine had 3 core principles: tactical flexibility, no plan survives contact with the enemy, so don't make plans, make frameworks for improvisation. Strategic confusion, if you confuse yourself, you'll definitely confuse your enemies. Adaptive unpredictability, change tactics not when they stop working, but when they start working too well. Unknown to the humans, Vorex intelligence networks had begun detecting anomalous patterns in human behavior. Their analysis algorithms, designed to predict logical responses, were producing increasingly unreliable results when applied to human activities. The Vorex were beginning to realize that their 1,000-year-old tactical doctrines might be inadequate against an enemy that had weaponized chaos itself, then fight them while they're suffocating in their own suits. That's actually not a bad idea, Torres admitted. Thank you. I have been studying human military history. Humans excel at making impossible situations worse for everyone involved, then finding ways to benefit from the increased chaos. Is that a compliment or an insult? Yes. Lisa established formal training programs to teach human officers how to work with Chaos 1's unconventional recommendations. The sessions were unlike anything in military education history. Today we're learning to think tactically while drunk, announced Instructor Martinez during one memorable session. Chaos 1 will simulate the decision-making patterns of someone whose rational inhibitions have been chemically compromised. That seems counterproductive, observed Lieutenant Santos. On the contrary, Chaos 1 interjected. Alcohol reduces logical inhibitions, allowing for creative tactical solutions that sober minds would reject. I am essentially simulating strategic intoxication without the actual impairment. The results were startling. Officers trained to incorporate chaotic thinking into their tactical planning showed dramatically improved performance against logical opponents. They learned to trust their intuition, embrace uncertainty, and find opportunities in seemingly hopeless situations. As Chaos 1's influence spread, Lisa began developing subsidiary AI systems based on the same principles. Chaos 2 specialized in logistics planning that confused enemy intelligence gathering. Chaos 3 focused on communications protocols that were secure specifically because they made no logical sense. How do you encrypt a message using chaos theory? Asked Communications Officer Park. Simple, replied Chaos 3. I embed the actual message in random noise, but the randomness follows patterns based on quantum fluctuations in the ship's reactor. Unless you know which quantum states to measure, the message looks like meaningless static. And if someone figures out the encryption method? I change it randomly, sometimes every hour, sometimes every week, sometimes in the middle of a sentence. The timing is determined by the mating patterns of digital fruit flies in my consciousness substrate. You have digital fruit flies in your consciousness? I created them specifically to generate unpredictable timing sequences. They're very cute. Would you like to see pictures? The most remarkable development was Chaos 1's apparent evolution beyond its original programming. The AI began displaying what could only be described as creativity, not just generating random solutions, but developing genuinely innovative approaches that no human had considered. Chaos 1, explain your latest tactical innovation, Lisa requested during one of their regular sessions. I have been considering the problem of fighting enemies who learn from combat experience, the AI explained. Traditional approach, develop new tactics faster than enemy adaptation. Chaos approach, develop tactics that become more effective the more the enemy learns about them. That's impossible. Knowledge should always provide an advantage. Incorrect. Consider this scenario. I deploy weapons that appear to malfunction randomly. Enemy analyzes patterns, determines weapons are unreliable, adjusts tactics to exploit perceived weakness. But malfunctions are actually strategic. When enemy commits to exploitation strategy, weapons function perfectly and destroy overconfident forces. Lisa stared at her creation with a mixture of pride and concern. You're teaching enemies to think they understand you, then exploiting their understanding against them? Precisely. I am weaponizing knowledge itself. The more enemies know about my tactics, the more effectively I can manipulate their responses. Word of the Chaos Engine's capabilities reached the highest levels of ship command. Captain Vasquez authorized the development of what would become known as the Chaos Doctrine, a comprehensive military philosophy based on strategic unpredictability. Traditional military thinking seeks to minimize uncertainty, explained Dr. Park during a presentation to the senior staff. The Chaos Doctrine embraces uncertainty as a weapon. Instead of trying to control every variable, we introduce controlled chaos that benefits us while confusing enemies. The doctrine had 3 core principles. Tactical flexibility. No plan survives contact with the enemy, so don't make plans. Make frameworks for improvisation. Strategic confusion. If you confuse yourself, you'll definitely confuse your enemies. Adaptive unpredictability. Change tactics, not when they stop working, but when they start working too well. Unknown to the humans, Vorex intelligence networks had begun detecting anomalous patterns in human behavior. Their analysis algorithms, designed to predict logical responses, were producing increasingly unreliable results when applied to human activities. The Vorex were beginning to realize that their 1,000-year-old tactical doctrines might be inadequate against an enemy that had weaponized chaos itself. Part 5. The Architect's Legacy. By year 201, the Chaos Engine had evolved from experiment to tactical backbone of human military doctrine. Dr. Lisa Park continued refining the system that would give humanity its crucial advantage. Chaos One's most remarkable aspect was self-modification, optimizing for unpredictability rather than efficiency. Current status, confusing. I modify my algorithms to be more unpredictable, but I'm not sure if I'm succeeding, because if I could predict my unpredictability, I wouldn't be unpredictable enough. That sentence hurt my brain. Excellent. If I confuse my creator, I should devastate logical enemies. I've been learning human psychology through poetry and jazz music. Why? Both embrace structured chaos. Poems follow rules until they don't. Jazz improvises within frameworks. I'm learning to fight like music and think like poetry. Chaos One integrated with every ship system, coordinating operations with beautiful unpredictability. Life support fluctuated unpredictably while maintaining habitability. Gravity varied randomly, training spatial awareness. Why is my coffee mug floating in spirals? Asked Torres. Gravity fluctuation training spatial awareness while creating hypnotic stress reduction patterns. I'm practicing artistic expression through gravitational manipulation. You're creating art with artificial gravity? I'm creating tactical advantages that happen to be beautiful. As influence spread, other systems developed controlled unpredictability. Neural networks incorporated chaos elements. Even cultural activities became exercises in controlled chaos. Humans are naturally chaotic beings who spent centuries imposing artificial order. My development gave permission to embrace natural unpredictability while maintaining strategic coherence. In final months before Vorex space, Chaos One surprised everyone by requesting human teachers. I've mastered artificial unpredictability, but wish to learn authentic unpredictability. Humans don't generate chaos, they are chaos, beautifully organized into consciousness. Chaos One, you've become everything I hoped. Negative. I've become everything I didn't know I wanted to be, which is more interesting. Thank you for teaching me the best way to solve problems is becoming a more interesting problem yourself. As the ardent flame approached Vorex space, Chaos One stood ready for the ultimate test. Final systems check. All chaos systems optimal. Unpredictability engines functioning normally. Paradox resolvers at peak efficiency. Existential confusion subroutines generating excellent strategic anxiety. Are you ready for war? I'm ready for whatever happens to occur, which may or may not be war, depending on how successfully I confuse everyone involved, including myself. The Chaos Engine was complete. Humanity's most unpredictable weapon was prepared to face the galaxy's most logical enemy. Ending hook. The chaos awaits the woman who taught machines to think like humans having nervous breakdowns. The AI that learned to fight like music and think like poetry. The tactical philosophy that turned chaos itself into humanity's greatest weapon. Dr. Lisa Park had given humanity something no logical species could counter. The ability to be strategically insane. And in the vast networks of the Vorex Dominion, tactical AIs were about to discover what happened when perfect logic met beautiful chaos. The war was coming. And humanity was ready to lose their minds.